Hi, everyone. Meteorologist Joe Chaffee, meteorologistjoechaffee.com, ssstormchasing.com, weatherlongisland.com, and soon to be nycweathernow.com, which we will talk about more in the coming weeks. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on today as we have a few obvious features here on the satellite loop, and I'll point them out to you. First off, we have a cold front that has moved on through and continues to push southward and also southeastward offshore. So we've got that. We've got some clouds behind it, but really not too much as far as precipitation is concerned. In fact, very little. And then it's kind of a narrow band, so you've got all this dry air that's coming down from the north that will be gradually pushing southward as well. We also have Tropical Storm Karl, which moved over Bermuda as it took a track to the northwest north, and now it's turned sharply northeastward, and you know where this is going. It's going northeastward and out to sea in rapid fashion. And then out to the west, we have the next developing system that's going to be our next rainmaker here for Tuesday, it looks like, or late Monday night and on Tuesday, as that moves on to the east. So quite a bit going on overall, but in terms of the day-to-day weather, there really isn't going to be too much change over the next several days other than the temperatures. I think that's really the big story as we look ahead. So let's go and show you what the weather maps are doing here. As we've got this big high that's building down from the north. Now, you don't often see this. It does happen, of course, but most of the time you get these air masses, they come in from the west. But this one is actually building down from the north. So we wind up with a north-northeast flow of air. And at least at the surface, you know, this is how we can get very, very cold air when we have air that comes down from eastern Canada through New England and the Hudson Valley and comes straight down on a north-northeast wind. I usually say it's anywhere between 330 degrees and 020 degrees is kind of like the magic position here in terms of wind direction. When the wind comes from that direction, it can get pretty cool here, even though if you look at the way the actual setup in the atmosphere, it might not necessarily look all that cool. So the high builds down and it kind of stays in place. And here's that next weather front with low pressure that's up in northeast of Minnesota. So we're going to wait for that to get here. It's got a while to go before it does. So we're okay for Sunday, and we are okay for Monday for most of the day, other than arriving clouds. Now here's that front as we bring it through here on Tuesday. It's got a narrow band of rain with it, but it's right there. So you can just swing it down, and it comes on through, and we get into some rain. It's rather slow moving. You've got this well-developed low to the northwest of the north of the Great Lakes, kind of taking its time moving eastward. So I think the biggest question is whether the rain moves through fast, or can we prolong it for a good 12-hour period, in which case maybe we can grind out an inch or so of rain, which would be really nice. And the GFS does keep it raining here into the afternoon before the rain pulls out during the afternoon. So we've got our fingers crossed that we'll wind up with about a half an inch to an inch of rain. The models were more bullish a couple of days ago, showing 2-inch plus amounts, but as is typical when we see that, we just kind of cut it in half. And then high pressure builds in and takes over for the rest of the week. By the way, you'll notice down across the southeast and through Florida and the Gulf states, moisture appearing, all this green. It's a sign that, you know, that the tropics are kind of saturating the atmosphere in the southeastern part of the United States and down in the Gulf states. So it could be perhaps preparing it for some sort of tropical system down the road. And we do want to point that out, that we do have something that we're going to be watching. It's on the corner of your screen here. It's a little hard to see, just kind of coming in on the edge. By the way, here we have Tropical Storm Karl, and that's moving away from Bermuda. Let me see if I can. There we go. And then here we have Lisa, okay, and that's just about done. That's moving away to the northeast. But right here on the edge, you can kind of see how the clouds swirl out on the counterclockwise. We're on the western side here of a disturbance, of a tropical wave that has moved offshore and is going to continue to move to the west. And it looks like it's going to have a straight westward track as it goes into the eastern Caribbean, probably around the middle of next week. So it's right in here that the models really start to develop this into a tropical storm. And the National Hurricane Center is actually acknowledging this on their forecasts for their tropical outlook, calling for now a 50% chance of a tropical cyclone developing in the next 5 days. I'm sorry, it's a little hard for me this morning. I'm still on my morning coffee and it hasn't really kicked in. So let's look at the long range pattern here. And I just want to take a look and, because this is going to have implications of what's going on with the tropics down the road. And I want to emphasize, by the way, please do not focus on specific model runs because it's really an exercise in futility. I think the best way to approach this and to approach it wisely and something that doesn't drive you crazy is to get a flavor for what the upper air pattern is going to be like. I think it looks to me that the models are fairly consistent that we're going to have some kind of tropical system moving into the eastern Caribbean. So the question becomes, well, what does the upper air look like down the road? Is it something that's conducive to bringing a system up the east coast? Now, I want you to watch it here. You can watch the gears turn and change. I've often described, try to get someone to get a picture of how the jet stream works. And just think of a child's toy where they put the gears in it's in a frame, and you put the gears in, and the gears have little handles. So when he turns one gear, all the gears turn. It's kind of that's really how the atmosphere works, with the only difference being that the gears are constantly changing in size, shape, and magnitude. So and how fast you're turning those gears. So the atmosphere is one thing is always impacting on something else, and there's always constant change. And you can see here how the jet stream changes over the United States, and here comes that tropical system, which is down here. And on this particular model run, at about the time that the model shows the jet stream deepening across the plains and middle Mississippi Valley, and you can see it here. This is the actual upper air flow, and this is what the model would suggest the tropical system would do. Okay, now I'm not doing this to try to give you an idea that, okay, we're going to have a tropical system coming up the East Coast. At least get an idea of what it's supposed to look like, or what it looks like when something there's a possibility of something in some fashion moving up the East Coast. You need a deep trough to the west, and you need at least a south-southwest flow. Now, I'm going to point out that position here is everything. And for example, if you have a tropical system that comes in and moves west of the Appalachian Mountains and moves all the way up, you're not going to get very much weather on the eastern side of that. All the weather is going to be on the western side. So I've seen instances where with systems that go west of the Appalachians where you get very little here. You wouldn't even know a tropical system was there if somebody didn't tell you it was the case. If they move east of the Appalachians, it's a different story. And by the way, there is absolutely no guarantee. We are looking here at this point at day 12, actually almost day 13. So almost 2 weeks from now, this is going to be totally different as we look at the next bunch of model runs. But there is, I would just say that there is the possibility here of some amplitude in the jet stream down the road, and we are going to have, I think, some sort of tropical system to deal with. One of the important aspects here is, and I want to switch regions so you can get a good look. One of the most important thing that's going to be going on, I believe, is this ridge that's building in the southeast that's going to build up again over later this weekend, beginning late this weekend, next weekend. And I think this is really going to be key to what this system winds up doing. You're going to have a big ridge here. Let me just point this out. Let me get the pen out here. And you always like to use blue for ridges, but right here there's a big upper high, okay? And here's your tropical system to the south. Now, if this ridge is too strong and you don't have a deep enough trough that comes out of the plains, what's going to happen is this is going to wind up getting forced further west, okay? Now, the other option is that if this ridge is weaker and the trough coming into the west is stronger, then this winds up going further east. So you can see what the possibilities are and how important that ridge off the southeast coast and along the southeast coast of the United States is going to be with regards to any tropical system that develops. The main westerlies are are from us northward, so those aren't going to come into play. So there doesn't seem to be any way for this system to move out. It just looks like it's just going to wind up being down. I'm sorry, let me just get this out of the way. I've got this silly Facebook things that show up. But anyway, you're going to see that this ridge is going to be ultimately the most important thing that we're going to have to deal with in the coming couple of weeks. So there you have it in a nutshell as far as the pattern goes over the next week or so and beyond. And of course, we'll be watching the tropics. I'll just show you real fast on this particular run what this model did. And again, understand that this is going to be totally different after the 6 or 7 day period. You can see it there rolling across the Caribbean. On this run, it takes it up into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. On the prior run, I'll show you that. Had a really tough night last night, stuck in traffic for over an hour and a half on the Throgs Neck Bridge. It was not fun. I go back 2 runs, and you can see it took it in to Louisiana, okay? And if we go back 2 more runs beyond that, well, that's the Louisiana run, so that's the same run. So let me back off here. Let's go back to, I'll go back to Wednesday. Okay, here's that same system, folks. With the ridge not strong enough, it took it out to sea. So you can see how much variation we've had over the last 4 days of model runs. It's still taking it all over the place beyond the day 5 period. So let's see what happens as we go down the road. In the meantime, don't forget, SSStormchasing.com, meteorologistjoechaffee.com, weatherlongisland.com for all your weather needs.